good news can often get overlooked or buried by the negative in our everyday lives. So let's change that. I'm Adrianna.
And I'm Wyatt.
We're just two ordinary people without any special qualifications or anything, trying to navigate life. We invite you to join us as we share wholesome stories, news articles of hope, and ideas about how we can all make the world just a little bit brighter. We are Uplifting Positive Stories. Welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Positive Stories. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's April is going good so far. I know we're in the weird time of year where like it's cold, it's hot, it's cold, it's hot. There's snow, there's no
fall,
snow.
Spring, and then
It's all
there's
over
like
the place.
second winter. It's been really all over. We had a snowstorm last Wednesday, and now it's starting to look like it's spring again. It's been very wishy-washy.
Yeah, it was the most snow we've had the entirety of the winter season.
Yeah, it dumped it all in like 2 days. It was a lot, but we made it through, and now it's mostly melted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully the grass will start turning green soon, and I'm very excited for that.
I feel like it's reflective of how people feel sometimes right now.
The uncertainties.
A lot of uncertainty right now, and I'm going to leave it at that. A lot of uncertainty, but we're getting through. We're getting through. We're here to be positive.
Yes, and hopefully these stories will help to brighten your day just a little bit. Today's episode is all about finding beauty in the mundane. So what that means is basically trying to find glimmers of happiness even when things may seem just kind of normal. Things that are not really exciting, making them exciting, working with a little and making it special. And so there's a lot of stories that kind of exemplify that in different ways in different areas, and we're going to dive right in. And a lot of these stories come from the same thread. I discovered this thread and I'm kind of obsessed with it. I like it a lot. There's a lot of really great stories on it. The subreddit is Benign Existence.
Okay, I was willing to place a bet that was going to be what's the most wholesome thing you've ever experienced.
Yeah, we do a lot of those, but this thread is really good. It's true. So this first story is called Picnic on the Floor. And it says, my friends introduced me to this idea. Every so often, when we want to make lunch a bit more fun, we will have a picnic at home, even if it's cold outside. We prep our sandwiches, spread a blanket out on the living room floor, and eat our lunch there. It mixes things up, and our toddler loves it. The weather has been getting warmer, and we did want a picnic outside, but it was a bit too cold and the garden's a mess, so we went for the living room picnic today.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah.
Not necessarily ideal if you have dogs. I feel like that'd be more.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, eating on the floor, the dogs be like, "What you got there?"
Mm-hmm. Especially the first time. Oh my goodness! Like our dogs are actually pretty good when it comes to.
Yeah.
Legolas here likes to like sniffing, like putting his face close to it, but not actually touch it.
Yeah.
But if we move that to the floor, that's his territory. Like that's like okay, this is perfect.
Here?
Or I don't know if he'll just take it right away, but it'd be a nuisance.
He'd be curious, yeah.
But that being said, for the non-dog owners and stuff, that sounds like a fun idea. Especially, of course, a toddler's gonna like that. Well, it's
something different and unique.
Again, that's the toddler's turf, is the floor.
That's also true.
So I imagine like they brought the food to me now instead of bringing me up to the food.
Right.
As speaking as someone who has not had a toddler yet, I'm just imagining.
But it's that idea that you can make something exciting, even if it's like, again, it's just sandwiches. It's not something super exciting, but by making it, hey, we're having a picnic, it makes it kind of extra special and fun and different. And they talk about how time seems to go by faster when you're doing the same things over and over and when you're kind of bored. Shaking up your routine and trying to find something kind of special and different to do can make things stand out more and can really help you to savor that time, even if it's something really small like this. Mm-hmm. I know growing up a lot, I think fondly back on like my mom used to try to do a lot of this stuff with creating special things. We didn't have a ton of money or anything, so she would try to kind of come up with interesting ideas of how to make things special and unique. For example, she did Wacky Wednesdays, and so she would kind of find a funny, weird recipe or whatever to try out, and she'd be like, all right, guys, I know we have our usual places to sit at the dinner table, but now we're switching it up. Everyone's going to sit at a different place than usual, and we're going to have a wacky dinner.
The chaos.
Again, it's not even like super, people would be like, okay, cool, you sat in a different spot and had a different recipe, but it was something that just shook up the routine, and just we're like, it's Wacky Wednesday, and so we were just being goofy and stuff, and it's Wacky Wednesday, we're doing things backwards. I think we had dessert before dinner or whatever. I think we did that too on Wacky Wednesday whenever she did that. So there was just fun things like that. Or another one she did, we had one of those old McDonald's animated movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember
and
those.
So she was like, all right, we're having a McDonald's theme night. And so she's like, all right guys, we're gonna go get you some McDonald's. And we just got like dollar cheeseburgers back when cheeseburgers were $1. Imagine that. But yeah, we got a $1 cheeseburger, came home, and then we watched the McDonald's movie together as a family. And it was McDonald's night. It was probably like $4 for the meal, but it was something different and special. And I'm like, in my upper 20s, and I still remember that. So little fun things to kind of spruce things up a little bit.
Do you still remember those McDonald's movies?
I do remember that one a little bit.
Which one was it?
That was a time travel one.
That's the one I remember too.
Yeah.
Those movies are weird.
It is a weird movie. That
like
is
looking
true.
back, like those movies were kind of trips.
It's true. The Hamburglar, I think, was in that. I don't know.
I think they're in all of them.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. Our next story comes from that same thread. It's very similar to the last one, just another kind of idea for that. This one is called "I Love Camping with You." I am currently having my kitchen renovated, and it is utter chaos. The house is a mess with tools and the new, not yet installed kitchen all over the place, and everything is covered in dust. When the builders had gone home and we were eating a dinner made on our temporary travel cooktop, my husband looks at me and says, "I love camping with you." It was so sweet, it made all the chaos and dust fade away.
Okay, so not literal camping.
Not literal camping.
Not using camping as a term of like...
Looking at it in a different way and trying to make it kind of a fun thing. We're camping, cooking on this little portable cooktop instead of our normal kitchen, It's little things like that and changes in perspective, which it's finding that, the name of this episode, finding that beauty in the mundane, finding that kind of joy, even though you could look at it as like, ugh, this is inconvenient. I'd rather cook on my stove. Or you can look at it as, we're camping in our house together. It's that difference in framing of the mind for that. So
oh yeah,
I like
for sure.
that a lot. And going off of that, this next subreddit is "Today I Am Happy," which I highly recommend if you're just looking for little doses of dopamine. This thread has a bunch of people just celebrating miscellaneous things from their life, being like, I just got a new job, or I just got a new puppy, or whatever. It's "Today I'm happy" for whatever reason. And yeah, there's just a lot of really cute, short little stories from people on there. So if you're ever looking for a little boost of happiness, it's a good one to look at. So this one says, "My life has been a drama full of ups and downs, and I bet many people feel that way. These days, I haven't had any accidents, incidents, or backfires. It's been flowing as expected, and even when minor detail is altered, they turn out just fine. I even feel like my life is boring. And I realized I love this boredom. Peaceful and usual. I'm happy today, appreciating the mundaneness." And then someone said, "Nice, I'm going through something similar. After a lot of ups and downs, right now the most dramatic thing in my life is a dental cleaning. Feels good to be this mundane. Congratulations on your boring life."
Well, dental cleaning can be adventurous depending on what's got to go on there,
Yeah, true.
But
yeah.
I get the idea, though.
The idea of not feeling like you have to always have craziness going on to be happy. You can be happy with just having a routine, with having that boring life, if that's what you feel like you're in right now. It's kind of a change of perspective, because a lot of times we feel like, oh, if I'm not accelerating at something, then I'm failing. Or if I'm not having a bunch of crazy adventures like I see on the social media of going on trips all the time or doing this kind of thing, or changing careers, like, am I even living like a fulfilled life, and so it's that change of perspective that you don't have to. You can, if that's what you want in life, if that's what you're excited about, is having these crazy adventures and stuff, then go for it. But like, it's not feeling pressured to have a life like that and to be happy. You can be happy with having a mundane existence, as they put it.
Well, you also come into phases and stuff. You have phases of slow down, phases of sped up. Like we've talked previously on this podcast about how crazy busy we were for a long time. These last few weeks, we've finally been able to kind of slow down, relax, breathe, just kind of stay home, hunker down, like still go out sometimes, but we're just kind of laying low and playing like Dragon Age or like games like that, or just having, just a normal existence for at least for a short time before, we get back into our wedding season and or we start up new projects. Like we just ordered a bunch of stuff for like reorganizing the house to make our lives long-term easier, but it's going to be a little chaotic for a little bit. But it's been nice to kind of sit back and, breathe.
breathe, relax, and just kind of have that routine. It's nice.
The routine is nice. It can get boring after a long while, though.
It can.
It can. So, but appreciate it when it's there.
But yeah, try to, if you're feeling just like, I don't know what to do and I'm feeling this is bored, try changing that perspective of, you know, it's like, I have this thing too of trying to change my perspective, but it's nice that I get to relax. It's nice that I get to have a routine and stuff, you know, kind of trying to change that perspective of it's not a bad thing to have a boring life, you know, when you are in those phases. All right, on to our next post. This one is also from that same thread of benign existence, and it says, I forgot to put my garbage out in time, and I wound up getting reminded that I should appreciate things in my life more than I do. Here's what it says.
I'm not, based off the title, I'm not sure how those two thoughts, I'm like, imagine like the mind like, it zooms in their head and kind of seeing the math formulas going in their head. Like, I'm not, just based off that, I'm not sure how that connects, but I'm sure the story will enlighten me. I'm just.
Yeah. Here we go. It says, I forgot to put the trash out last night, so when I heard the garbage truck this morning, I ran out to move our bin into our neighbor's driveway on the other side of the street.
Oh.
When the trash collector pulled up, I thanked him through his truck window and waited for him to leave so I could put our trash bin away. I was surprised when he got out of his truck and started bringing the trash can to our driveway. I was going to get that, but thank you very much, I said. The guy smiled at me with the biggest grin. His teeth were in terrible condition. His glasses were broken and taped. His hands and face were absolutely filthy. He fit the exact stereotype of an underpaid trash collector image in every way. He was walking to me and pointing past me into the yard at my dog, Maple. What kind of dog is he? He asked. I told him that she's a Bernese Mountain Dog, and he just looked at her and said, I always love to see her in your yard every week. She's so beautiful. I will remember what kind of dog she is. I told him that her name is Maple, and he could pet her if he wanted to, and led him up the driveway inside our invisible fence where Maple could meet him. He held out his hand to Maple and literally giggled when she licked him. He gave her a few pets and just had that huge grin on his face the entire time. Then he looked back to me and said, thank you. I really do love looking for her every week, and I always hope I get to see her. I'll remember that she's Maple the Bernese Mountain Dog. Just made me realize how much work I need to do to appreciate the things I have more than I do. Appreciate the people in my life more than I do. Going to work on that. Yeah.
Can relate to that a little bit because, you know, we are blessed with a very beautiful dog here, Samoyed Legolas. Gimli is cute too, but he gets kind of, when I take them both on walks, like it's the giant white dog is the one that everyone notices.
They call him the cloud, yeah.
Oh, he's like a cloud, you know? And so like to appreciate that, like obviously like we think he's beautiful and we love him, but you know, to have an outside perspective that's like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, what a cute dog, and he is a very friendly dog, so it kind of reinforces that, like, okay, maybe I should really appreciate that more, you know?
Right.
Not that we don't, but.
With like mundane, that kind of word, I feel like with a lot of things in our life, we kind of start to feel that things are mundane just because they're there all the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, really taking a moment to go, wow, we do have a really beautiful, very, very sweet dog. And we know that, but like really reflecting on that and really appreciating it and really taking that time to reflect on the good things going on in life, the beauty in life. And stuff like that. So
yeah, really quick on a side story with that. It's a similar enough story. I think it's funny when I was recently like walking our dogs along my route. There's like sort of a daycare of sorts. But anyway, I was walking them and there was like a bunch of kids there, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, white dog! Like, can I see that dog? I see that dog!" And like they want to come over and pet him and stuff. And the kid's like, oh, what's his name? What's his name? Oh, it's Legolas, and this is Gimli. Oh, Legolas, Gimli, okay. And this one kid this entire time is like, hi, Meatball, and they're like calling Meatball at them before they even walked up. And then once they learned the name, another kid who had asked for the name was like, his name's not Meatball, it's Legolas. And then like they're petting him stuff, and I walk away, and then that other kid again goes, bye Meatball, and then that other kid goes, his name's not Meatball, it's Legolas, and like becomes like a justice warrior for Legolas's behalf, even though I gave no reaction to him being called the wrong. It was just really funny. There's like 4-year-olds maybe. Like, these are really small kids.
It is cute how excited the kids at that daycare always get when our dogs walk by, and our dogs get so excited when they see the kids outside. It's so cute. It's my favorite.
Yeah, Gimli gets lots of love too. It's just Legolas is noticed first.
Well, yeah,
but then they see Gimli,
incredibly
like, oh,
fluffy,
he's cute
so they're
too.
like fluffy dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, All right, on to our next story. I think you'll like this one. It's kind of funny. Same thread. This one is titled, I regularly accost my workplace with tiny random gifts and acts of kindness, and it started a little kindness revolution. Here we go. This is what it says.
Should call that the name of the episode. Or name of
Kindness Revolution.
That should either be the name of this episode or a future episode.
I like it.
A Kindness Revolution. I like that theme. We should do that.
All right, here we go. I started working at a new company back in March. It's one of those businesses where the needs of the clients are constantly in opposition with the capacity of the employees, and rarely is everyone on the same page. A reorganization was also happening right as I got there, and tensions were high. I decided to do something about it. I schemed and planned, and when the CrowdStrike IT blackout knocked out all of our inventory systems and instrument computers, I knew that it was time to strike. I got to work cutting out little paper ponds from blue paper I found in the copy room. I outfitted 18 of these ponds with little paper lily pads and reed grass, waited for everyone to go home, and scattered them around the offices of Building 1. And then I placed 180 tiny multicolored plastic ducks all over the office. In the ponds, in the break rooms, on the marker trays of the whiteboards, the water fountains, the copiers. I came into work the next day like nothing had happened and watched everyone slowly become aware that they were absolutely surrounded by tiny glittery ducks. There are still people in the office who don't know the source of the duck ponds, but I came clean by the end of the day to my direct colleagues because everyone was unsure if they were allowed to take the ducks, and I needed them to know that they could, yes. Over the next few weeks, the ducks migrated from the ponds to people's desks and cubicles. Many people started collecting color sets and arranging their ducks in a pattern. A few of the empty ponds were relocated to people's desks to house their duck families. One coworker told me she has a duck to represent each of her family members. Another came to me looking for a red duck because it was the only color that they were missing in their lineup. People from other buildings started making the trek over to ours to see the ponds and take a duck, like tourists. But it didn't end there.
Become a duck dealer.
Yeah. Soon, other animals started showing up in the ponds, and it absolutely wasn't me that was doing it. There were rabbits one week and dinosaurs the next, dogs, fish, turtles, frogs, butterflies. There was a new wave of tiny animals every few days, seemingly all from different sources. My new boss has a bag of tiny marine animals at her desk now, and she gives them out to whoever wants them. At this point, it is almost impossible to find a desk that doesn't have at least one tiny animal on it, if not a menagerie. I've done a few more silly things since then, including decorated chocolate kisses, novelty chapstick, and little plastic ghosts and gremlins for Halloween. I am now well known as a scourge of random fun upon my workplace, and it has gained me a reputation. Whenever something odd or fun is found, the assumption among my colleagues is that it is my doing. The job is still stressful and at times frustrating, but I think my antics have had a positive impact on everyone's morale. I have been collecting different types of tiny plastic dinosaurs to inflict a Jurassic Park flash mob on Building 2 next year. They have no idea what's coming.
It's the Raptor Wars. My old classmates' fictional writing is going to come true.
What?
He wrote a series called The Raptor Wars.
Oh my gosh. But yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's something that's so silly, but you know, it took off and it brings a little bit of joy in an otherwise kind of boring, kind of frustrating at times job.
Well, it sounds like it was more than just mundane and stuff there. It was like in a period of chaos and
right. Trying to find a way to make people be a little bit happier in the workspace.
A period of negativity around the workplace.
Right.
First of all, that's a rough way to start a job.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
When you come in and there's transitions happening, yeah.
It's like you come into a job excited to work the new job, and then like it's like everyone's panicking, running around, or like the old guard there is like, you have no idea what you've just walked into.
I've definitely had a couple jobs where I walked into that were kind of like that, where things were in a stressful period. One of my jobs when I was making commercials, I came in and it was like one of the busiest times of the year before the holidays. And I came in and my boss had told me, yeah, you know, on average, you're doing like, 6 commercials at a time. In our really busy season, you're doing like 15 at the very most usually. And then I get there in the week I started, all of my coworkers in the office are like, I'm working like 15 commercials right now. And I'm like, oh, it's that time of year. Great. Okay. So I kind of had to train myself for a little bit until they were
then
more
glad
freed
to
up.
tell you that time is now.
Yeah, the time is actually now. So that was kind of crazy. So yeah, coming in when it's stressful, that can be really hard. And to step into that role of, I'm going to try to make this place a happier workplace when you're also new. That's a huge step to take, because it could have not went well. People could have been like, why did you clutter our office with a bunch of ducks? Thankfully,
they could have been upset or weirded out by it, or pegged you as the weird one, you know. But then I guess you'd find out pretty quickly that I guess this culture isn't for me, and then you go
That's
seek
fair.
other employment.
Yeah, but it worked out really well, and it's cool that he kind of has a thing there now where he's the guy who's the fun guy that does this, and it started a chain of events, and so now people assume when these things happen that it's them. Yeah, that did it. So that's kind of a cool way to bring you together with your coworkers too, in a way, because now he or she, I don't know if it's a he or she, but they have a thing now. They're the fun person in the office. And yeah, it's a cool way to kind of create a nice environment when otherwise it would have been maybe kind of stressful. So yeah, really, really cool. All right, so now we have a listener submitted story. Thank you so much to the person that submitted this. This is a local news article that they had that they forwarded to us. It sounds really interesting. I haven't read it because I wanted him to read it to me on here. So yeah, I get to listen this time. I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully I do this justice.
I'm sure you'll do
the summary here, but it comes from WTN News. It looks like it's in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And the headline is local community supports family after hit and run crash.
Oh boy.
Okay. Yeah. So basically this 20-year-old son got in a pretty bad accident. I'll spare the details, but it was very bad to the point where they'd be hospitalized and involved like neurosurgery and stuff.
Oh,
and there was basically and it's pretty likely they're going to end up in wheelchair bound the rest of their life probably. And during this time, and they had to spend weeks in the hospital, like weeks and weeks, to go undergo the surgery and then therapy and rehab and such. And the family then posted on social media, basically calling for help and support for anyone who's able-bodied monetarily or has the physical means to do so, to help renovate their house to be wheelchair accessible, because their house is not at all wheelchair accessible.
Well, yeah, when it's something that's sudden, that's really hard.
And so basically, more or less, the community kind of rallied together, like various contractors and stuff, different companies that gave up their free labor and such and they were able to do within 3 weeks, be able to renovate the entire.
Dang, that's impressive.
Like first level to be able to make it wheelchair accessible.
Man, that's cool. Wow.
That's kind of what the story leaves off. I feel like it leaves it like you wanting more. I've only read the article. I'm sure there might be more. It feels like it's a more of a visual story because it looks like a TV news article.
Gotcha.
So there is a video associated with it. We're definitely going to attach
the article to this podcast. So if you want to check out that video, it'll be down in the description below. I feel like video for news is always more fun to watch than even just read the article, just because you get to actually hear from usually the family or the people that were helping out and stuff, which is really cool to hear that direct perspective from those people. So yeah, that's super, super cool. That's a lot to undertake, to have to renovate your house, especially when dealing with that family member being in the hospital and stuff, knowing that you're going to have to come in and renovate your entire house, because under normal circumstances, renovating a house is a lot to undertake. So that's super cool that the community rallied to do it that quickly, because the longer it takes, the longer you have to find maybe temporary housing in the process or live in a project, you know? So having them come together to get it done that quickly is really cool.
Yeah, it looks like it was like it took time, resources, and manpower from over 10 local companies, no questions asked.
Wow, so companies got involved too? That's super cool.
It's local contractors.
Wow, that's super cool. 'Cause that's also incredibly expensive too. So for them to do that, that's super cool. Wow. Dang. It is super cool how often it seems like communities really, when there's something of like a tragedy that happens or a hard circumstance for a local family, how communities rally around that family or that person to really help out in those times. That's super cool. And it's neat to see these examples, these, you know, on a small scale, but knowing that that kind of stuff happens all over is super, super cool. And it's neat to see that example really, you know, shine a light on it. Super cool.
And I can't say definitively, but it reads like the companies didn't do it for the attention, because the story didn't even come out until like 3 months after the accident, 3 months after all this happened. So
right.
That's a decent amount of time to have passed before that hits the news cycle.
Yeah, true. 100%. Yeah, I love that. That's super cool. It reminds me of, obviously a little bit different because I mean they're getting the exposure on TV, but a really great show if you haven't ever seen it is Extreme Home Makeover. That show, they have a new season that just came out like a few months ago. It's on Hulu if you have Hulu. And basically, they go in and they find a deserving family that's nominated. And oftentimes, there's something life-changing that's happened in their lives that's making it hard for them to live in their current house. Or maybe the house is in really bad disrepair. It can be a number of things. And they come through and they not only build them a new house, but they'll also try to add other things into their life to make their life easier. So maybe it's that they have, like in this example, like with the needing it to be wheelchair accessible, like if some, like one of the kids I think had some sort of physical disability that was making it hard for them to have their own room and stuff. So they were all having to share a room, which was really hard for them because there wasn't enough space. And so they kind of created it to be a healthier house for them so that they could have their own rooms, but still have her have the care that she needed in her house. And it was really heart-wrenching, you know, these stories from these families, but it was so cool to see these companies come in and gift these families a whole new life. You know, everything is completely better afterwards. So if you're looking for a really heartwarming show to watch, I definitely got teared up a lot watching that. It's a really great show. And it's so cool when you see local news examples that are similar to that on a really local level, because they're not, obviously, like you said, they're not doing it for the TV exposure or anything like that. So it's even more special. It's just like, wow, communities coming together to help people in need. That's so, so cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much to that person that sent that story in. We love hearing news articles from people that send them in or personal stories. So thank you so much for sending that. It's super cool for us to hear them.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that, we will end today's podcast episode. Tune in next Wednesday for our next episode that is all about expecting nothing in return. So doing kind things and expecting nothing in return.
Like this last story we just read.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's going to be some great stories for that. I'm excited. And if you have positive news articles or a positive news story of something that happened that was great in your life or someone you know, please send them to us at upliftingpositivestories@gmail.com, or you can post them on our Facebook.
And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment. Let us know how you're able to find the mundane in your life. We like to hear those stories.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you all have a great rest of your week.
And stay positive.